All right, let's start with roll call.
Councilmember Kaiser.
Here.
Councilmember Onessa Rosen.
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here.
Councilmember Budaszewski.
Here.
Councilmember Cumming.
Here.
Councilmember Eidball.
Present.
Councilmember Kamish.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. We have an agenda before us, looking for an approval on that agenda. Anyone, John?
I move to approve the agenda as written.
All right, I'll look for a second. Tracy?
I'll second.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. One of the first items is a couple proclamations I'll read into the record at this time. First one is for Veterans Day, City Proclamation. Whereas America seeks to recognize and pay tribute to the dedicated veterans who have served this great nation with such distinction, both in peacetime and in war. And whereas our community has a continued sense of gratitude to those who have given so much in defense of the freedoms that we all continue to enjoy. And whereas the greatest acknowledgement of our freedom is to honor our armed forces veterans who have sacrificed and in many instances paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And whereas we, along with millions of other Americans, can attest to the importance of their sacrifice for and contributions to our freedom and security. And now, therefore, I, Jim Adams, as mayor, do hereby proclaim Saturday, November 11th, 2023, as Veterans Day in Crystal in honor of these dedicated men and women who protect our principles of freedom and democracy, dated the 7th day of November. So that's one. The second one is referring to Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. And I will read that into the record at this time. City Proclamation, City of Crystal Proclamation affirming Crystal's commitment to the Quad City Beyond the Yellow Ribbon initiatives. Whereas in 2014, the cities of Crystal, Golden Valley, New Hope, and Robbinsdale united to form the Quad Cities Beyond the Yellow Blue Ribbon Initiative. And whereas Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Committee unites key areas within the community to create a network that connects, organizes, resources, employers to meet the needs of local service members, veterans, military families in Minnesota. And whereas this visible show of support enables successful transitions for those affected by the military deployments, and builds a stronger, more compassionate community. And whereas the City of Crystal continues to support the Quad Cities Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Initiative and agrees to be an active, ongoing participant to help the Quad Cities maintain Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Community official designation. Now, therefore, I, Jim Adams, Mayor of the City of Crystal, do hereby affirm Crystal's support for and active participation in the Quad City Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Initiative, along with the cities of Golden Valley, New Hope, and Robbinsdale, dated the 7th day of November 2023. So those are our proclamations. We do have an appearance today. I will turn this over to our Public Works Director, Mark Ray. Mark, take it away.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. It is my true honor and privilege tonight to recognize two of our Public Works team members who are walking up now, who recently took first place in the Hydrant Hysteria competition hosted by the American Waterworks, right there, American Waterworks Association, Minnesota section. We did plan on having a special guest speaker, however, unfortunately, he was not able to be here tonight. Steve, with the Water Production Supervisor with the City of Eagan and a WWA trustee. So with that, you get to listen to me a little bit longer. The American Waterworks Association is an international nonprofit scientific and educational society dedicated to providing total water solutions, assuring effective water management. Founded in 1881, the association is the largest organization of water supply professionals in the world. AWWA has a membership including over 4,300 utilities that supply roughly 80% of the nation's drinking water and treat almost half of the nation's wastewater. There are 51,000 total members, represent the full spectrum of the water community, from wastewater and water system operators, environmental advocates, scientists, academics, and others who hold a genuine interest in water. AWWA unites the diverse water community to advance public health, safety, the economy, and the water workforce and the environment. Hydrant Hysteria was created as a team-building competition by AWWA. The premise is to put a team together of 2 people to construct a hydrant as fast as possible. The team start with a fire hydrant that is completely dismantled, then put the hydrant together as quickly as possible. Once assembled, judges inspect the hydrant, confirm that the hydrant operates with all parts secure and operational. After the hydrant is verified complete, the team with the quickest time wins. After a number of years of taking second place, this year the Crystal Public Works team of Ryan and Israel brought home the hardware with their winning time of 1 minute and 31 seconds. Next summer, they'll be headed to the National AWWA competition, representing not only the city of Crystal, but also the Minnesota section of AWWA. So with that, if you'd all join me in recognizing Ryan and Israel for their achievement and thank them for representing the city of Crystal at both the state and national level. And while they do that, if council, if you could scrunch together and have them stand in front and take a quick photo.
Do you have video of the?
We do. I'm gonna get it posted. Okay. We can slide together right here and make you guys right in front. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do this. Perfect. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Yeah, you bet.
With the championship trophy.
No doubt.
The trophy is traveling, so
Oh.
tell them to bring it home again next year.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't lose it. Is what you
All right, yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. That's a lot of fun. All right, next is our consent agenda. I'll read that for the record at this time. First is the approval of the minutes from the following meetings: the work session on October 17th, 2023, and the work session on that same date. Approval of the list of license applications submitted by the city clerk to the city council. That list is on file in her office. Approval of the 2024 regular city council meeting work sessions and council meeting schedules. Acceptance of Troyland Womack's resignation from the ID Commission. Adoption of a resolution authorizing the 2024 Federal Regional Solicitation Program grant application. That is our consent agenda. Looking for a motion on that. Go ahead, David.
I will make a, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, looking for a second. Tracy?
I will second.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Abstain.
I abstain as well. All right. Motion carries. Next is open forum. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak during open forum? Seeing nobody approach, we have nothing here.
I do not, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we will skip by open forum. We'll do a quick reminder. Open forum is designed to publicly address the council. 3 minutes is allowed for each participant, 10 minutes for each specific topic. All right, regular agenda. First item on that is our contributions, $25,000 or greater. I'll read those into the record at this time. IRS EFT payments for federal and FICA withholding for pay date 10/13/2023 is $67,663. Min-para for employee city required contributions for that same date, $68,673. Abdo Financial Solutions for financial management payroll review and UB assistance, $26,725. Logis for monthly support, hosting fiber locations, licenses, and networks, $41,026. Landscape structures for Welcome Park fitness equipment and play area equipment, $321,356. Golden Valley Joint Water Commission for the September water charges, $245,858. London McLeod Inc. for HRG yard waste site rental and activity for several months is $25,319. Met Council for wastewater services for November, $138,936. Minger Construction Companies for drainage project at Douglas Drive and 61st, $35,283. Peterson Companies for final payment on the Central Core Stormwater Project, $153,387. Valley Rich Company for CIP valve replacements. That's also a reminder billable to the Joint Water Commission, $34,900. West Metro Fire Relief Association for 2023 Fire State Aid. That's $324,198. Just point out, well, I'll talk about that later. West Metro Fire Rescue District, October contributions for West Metro Fire is $123,281. Min-Para for federal and FICA withholding taxes for pay date 10/27/23 is $67,989. Total disbursements of $25,000 or greater is $1,674,598.17. Questions on any one of these? Go ahead, Taji.
Yeah, just curious, what do we use the yard waste site rental for?
That is, with the yard waste, we reuse the yard waste for the city disposal, but also any residents within the HRG member cities are able to use that.
Got it.
Yeah, it looks like we usually don't see that because it's not usually several months worth, so it doesn't hit the $25,000 marker.
Okay.
Yeah. The West Metro Relief Association payment, that fire state aid, that's pension money for the paid-on-call firefighters, if anybody's interested in that.
Thank you.
That's what that is.
And just one other, Mr. Mayor, it is a pass-through, so we get that state aid from the state, and then we receive it as a city, and then transfer it to the
Disperse it.
Relief Association.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. All right, anything else? Looking for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to
Grace?
approve expenditures over 25,000.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Taji, thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Next item is the UDC code approving summary language and publication for the ordinance. We have our city planner, Dan Olson, to address the council on that one. Welcome, Dan.
Yes, thank you. I just have a very, very short presentation here. So as you said, this is amendments to the Unified Development Code. There's two actions being requested tonight, the second reading and adoption of the ordinance, and then approval of a resolution for the summary publication. So as you said, we are proposing several amendments to the UDC, including property rezoning at 3601 Douglas. These next things are kind of a reminder of what happened at the last two meetings. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on October 9th and recommended approval of all the amendments with the exception of the definition of gross density and the rezoning of the EDA lot at 3443 Douglas. Both of those have been removed from the ordinance. The City Council did first reading approval on October 17th, and they made no changes to the ordinance as presented. So as I said, tonight you're being asked to make two separate motions. First is to approve the second reading and adoption of the ordinance. And then secondly, approval of a resolution approving a summary publication of the ordinance. The next steps for this project are that it would be published on November 16th in the Sun Post, and then it would be going into effect on December 16th. So I'm available for questions if you have any.
All right, thank you, Dan. All right, go ahead, Forrest.
I don't think, I forgot to ask this last time. The tree list, is that getting updated through this or another action?
That is not being proposed to be updated.
We talked about how there's an invasive, or two invasive trees on there.
Oh, okay. I can.
Yeah.
I can bring that. It's a member. It's just.
It's not UDC. That was the crux of my question, I guess. But is that just something that you can do administratively, or is it?
It's something we could do by resolution, but it's not tied to an ordinance.
Okay.
Really. So you could do it anytime.
All right, we'll bring that another time then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, last time when we had this reading, we didn't make any changes, but we had a whole lot of conversation, and a lot of it was around the registration requirement. I got approached by someone after the meeting, and they had some concerns with it as well. And one was from a social justice perspective of having people in rental properties ending up having to pay it. But what I did is I corrected her. I'm just recalling the conversation now. I'm sorry, I didn't give it more thought before I started speaking. And it goes straight to the actual landlord, not to the resident themselves. So that social justice thing kind of, she was happy with that, but yet she said, well, isn't that unconstitutional to hold somebody else responsible for somebody else's actions? And she says, well, I oppose it on that basis then. So.
Well, didn't we discuss it with the administrative part of it? Because it would have to follow the standard.
Yes, the standard procedure that going forward for this would be to issue a 10-day notice to the property owner. It's all these notices are always issued to the property owner. Mm-hmm. So we work with them, and if there's a willingness to take care of the issue, whatever, any issue that is code enforcement related, we work with them on that. If there's just a blatant doesn't respond and doesn't do anything about it, then we would issue a citation after 10 days. But again, that would go to the property owner, not.
Yeah, right. It doesn't change it. So I would be interested in pulling that from this ordinance of adjustments. I don't know if anybody else is interested. So I'll make a motion to actually pull that from the second reading. Is there anybody?
Could you just clarify what exactly we're pulling?
We're pulling the registration requirement, that particular change in the UDC.
And where is the language for that?
Page 138.
Thank you.
Is it F?
Correct.
Yes, it's redlined. Yep.
Yep.
On page 138.
We talked a little bit about what problem are we trying to solve here, and I'm not sure we rose to the right level. Maybe this can come back next year or next time we do this. If we can kind of work out some of the kinks, I'd obviously be open to that.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
My recollection is that the discussion is we really don't have any way with dealing with the problem if there is a problem.
What was the problem? I think we had a hard time identifying what the problem was.
Well, recreation vehicles parked on commercial property.
Right. Here. But, and we were talking about the differences treating residential property different than rental property. And
That was part of it, yeah.
that was a huge piece of it. So,
We do have discretion though, right?
no, if we pass it, it's something that can be, it's complaint-based from what I understand is how we would approach it. And at that point, we wouldn't have discretion. I think the chief has something to say.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're looking at before I speak. Is it on page 138 regarding the off-street parking of motor vehicles? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
So here is the reason for this, because we were receiving several complaints of vehicles that were parked, not just on street on city property, but also on business properties, right? And the concern was that they were potentially abandoned or people living in them. And there was nothing that we as the city would be able to do because we didn't have anything in the ordinance. So we had no tools to enforce it. And then we would approach the businesses where we got the complaint from to tell them about it. They then attempted to get the vehicles to move, and it was difficult for that business. They wanted them to move and then didn't, and so this stemmed from the businesses that we were dealing with. On the rental property piece, again, this is complaint basis only. It's not like the code enforcement team is going to be out there driving around, nor would we, because we just don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, I think we understood that. Yeah, go ahead.
Could this end up with the vehicle being towed from the business,
Potentially, yes.
potentially?
Yep.
The business and the private property owners can initiate that.
Right, but I mean, this would never, like, let's say there's a situation where a business owner is okay with, let's say nuisance
Yep.
vehicles. Could this go down a road where we do tow?
Not if they don't want us to.
Not if they don't want us to, though. Okay.
We
Then-
would,
yeah.
I mean, this is worst case scenario, but we would just keep issuing citations if the
Yeah.
violation was still there and they were very uncooperative. I don't see that happening very often.
Yeah,
Where-
but there's still a fining mechanism there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate, hammer in a way, is the fine. There is nothing more beyond, okay.
Yeah.
John,
John Sutter,
All right, hold on, I gotta
we're gonna unmute him.
Who's this guy?
all right, John, you should be good.
Sorry, okay, thank you. So I do want to, I completely understand the concern about, apartment buildings and other residential properties larger than 1 and 2 unit dwellings. So if that is the focus of the concern, you could change the ordinance to exempt all residential property instead of just 1 or 2 family dwellings. We could swap in that language for 1 or 2 family dwellings, assuming Troy is okay with that level of change at this point. But I think as Stephanie said, it really is a concern about what's happening in our commercial properties. And we don't want all this excess parking we have all over Crystal in many of these commercial properties. We don't want the back lots, if you will, to turn into a dumping ground for unlicensed vehicles. And yes, we would take enforcement action against the property owner, but they're not supposed to be using or allowing their commercial parking lots to be used as a dumping ground for unlicensed vehicles. So that's the problem we're trying to solve, is to prevent the misuse of the parking lots we allow in the city as an accessory use. They're supposed to be accessory uses to the businesses, not just general parking of vehicles. And so the question was asked, it's a very fair question. What is the problem we're trying to solve? That's really the problem we're trying to solve. If there's not a comfort level with applying that same standard to apartment building parking lots, then certainly the ordinance could reflect that change. But I think it's especially important in commercial and industrial parking lots, non-residential properties.
And keep in mind, these are your constituents that are calling us complaining about this. It's not us out there looking for it. We're getting calls about this issue.
Yeah, I understand that too. I mean, it's very obvious. It's just it's applying things differently for different groups of people. And I still struggle with some of the commercial stuff. I mean, if I am a renter of a commercial property and I have parking spaces that I can use, and I park something there that I actually rent, it could be the it could be the resident, not the resident, the
Owner.
Property owner.
no, not the property owner, but the person
the
renting.
leaseor.
The renter. Thank you. The renter is the word I was looking for. It could be the renter who's rented that space parking there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be registered. But that's really not the problem that we're trying to fight. But if a resident says, hey, we know that's an ordinance here, you can't do that. Wait a minute, I rent this, I pay for this space. I'm parking whatever I'm gonna park in the space, right? And then that's a flaw in the system. We're applying an ordinance that it's open-ended in some cases, I don't know what the right answer is. I would feel more comfortable if we got it out of the residential space, number one, especially if you're trying to target what you would call dumped property. But I think what you're going to find in some of what you call dumping vehicles, is people renting that space out to other people? I don't know. I mean, that's something they have an actual name for in the real estate business. You know, it's part of.
Like storage.
Yeah, it's kind of like storage. Yeah, go ahead, Forrest.
Just because I'm not really familiar with this problem personally, is there an issue with being somebody that went to school at the U around and tried to find parking spots in Dinkytown, you know, like, is there a problem with towing? Is that not a tool that like if a business owner's like, well, we'd like to get this car gone, but what's the reason why they just can't have it towed or like sign it for towing or whatever? I'm just curious.
They can.
Yes,
We
they
can't.
can.
Right. So then, because this is all, like, all this discussion is assuming a willing property owner, right? So if it's a willing property owner, why wouldn't they just,
I think it's the other way around.
okay, so it isn't a willing, then,
It's
so then,
assuming an unwilling property owner.
I don't know if that's the.
Why would you need to do it otherwise?
But these
that's
are
why I'm asking.
These are unregistered vehicles, right?
Right.
Or-
Correct.
Unlicensed, right? They're not current.
Correct.
And one thing we've always, talked about, we've had situations before where vehicles, and I remember on West Broadway, there was a building there before the Public Works building that had a kind of an ambulance thing that was there, and we were like going, the thing is just so ugly and it never moves or whatever, and then they would come back and they would say it was licensed. It was license was up to date, so that's what we're looking for.
So the ambulance was at the lawyer's office.
Right, at the lawyer's office, right.
Yeah, not at the other place.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that exact same building.
They own that building.
Right,
They
but we
can't
were
park there.
talking about the ambulance, right? We were talking about the ambulance. We were, is it, licensed? Yes, it's licensed. So it was like, case is done, right? It's none of our problem anymore. And that's what we're looking for in this case.
Well, I guess my question still stands, like, the example the chief gave was, about a business owner that was having issues getting rid of the vehicle. Is that, or, yeah, if you could
Yeah,
elaborate.
so, it's no secret, Wells Fargo had 2 or 3 campers that were sitting in front of their RVs that were sitting in their property. Those RVs then moved to O'Reilly's, I believed, and were making their way around, right? And we spoke to Wells Fargo about the RVs, and they said, yep, we spoke to these folks, and a couple of them were registered, and one wasn't, right? And so, to Wells Fargo's point is, they're like, we don't want to have to tow, but we don't want them on our property, right? And we, the city legally cannot go and tell someone on their own property commercially what to do on private property. This tool allows us to do that. So this tool would allow, for example, code enforcement to go talk to the RV owner and say, hey, per our city ordinance, you can't be here, and Wells Fargo doesn't want you here. It just gives another tool for the RV to get the heck out
So
of
the business
Dodge.
owner can't trespass, I don't really know.
They can tell them, but it's hard for a business owner to do that, right? I mean, they don't necessarily are equipped to do that, they can, but it just gives another tool for us to be able to do it.
That's just, it's confusing to me personally.
So hold on a second. If I have a commercial property and I have people who are illegally living there at night, and I've talked to them, I can't call the police and say, hey, these people are not allowed overnight.
We can't move their vehicle, no,
You can't move it.
no,
But you can talk to them.
yeah.
Okay.
But we can't move it. We can't, it's private property. Just like we can't, I'm gonna give you a little tip. You know the Target stop sign that's on Target where, either you have to stop before pedestrians?
Not a
If-
tip.
If someone blows it, we can't tag them. I shouldn't be saying that when people are watching this, but we can't tag them. It's on private property. Know what I mean? So it's the same thing here.
Well, it's confusing to me. It still doesn't seem like it's not a perfect solution. Because what was the ultimate resolution?
They finally left.
Okay, okay.
Driving around the city for a few weeks? Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
right.
they finally left.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor and Council, just to make sure I'm clear on what the language is, when it says, basically what this requires is a valid registration and a license plate. And if you don't have one of those, then that's where this potentially kicks in.
Correct.
So when we're talking about valid registration, we're talking about tabs.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So there's a little, part of the discussion, part of it is thinking registered with the owner or something like that, but this is just purely tabs and license.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I wanted to make sure that didn't get lost, that there isn't
Yep.
some sort of registration with the owner. This is just
Yep.
tabs and license.
Correct.
Yeah, and this takes care of, in this particular case, 1/3 of the problem, because there were 3 of them, and only 1 was unregistered, so we still don't have a solution for the other 2.
It still gives us a tool to deal with the unlicensed one, right?
It does, it does. All right, any more questions? Any more discussion? All right, I put a motion for pulling. Is anybody interested in seconding that?
Say that again, please.
Uh,
I didn't hear you.
The
Striking
motion-
section F.
Motion to pull the F adjustment for the off-street parking for motor vehicles and recreation vehicle equipment. Actually, before I'm looking for a second, no, let's go ahead, looking for a second. Seeing no second, motion fails. All right, is anybody interested in having a conversation about taking off residential property?
Is it the,
Adding it or taking it off?
Changing it to?
you talking, the last line?
the last
two
part.
family dwellings, taking that off?
Yep,
So, Mr. Mayor?
yes.
So, Mayor and Council, if you're inclined to, as John had recommended, considering taking residential off, then the language I came up with would be to replace the 1 and 2 family dwellings in the last sentence with residential dwellings, comma, including multiple family dwellings, comma, and then continue with and lawful vehicle sales businesses are exempt from this requirement. So making clear it's residential dwellings, including multiple family dwellings, are exempt.
Yeah, okay, I heard somebody say they were interested, I don't know who it was. So I'll go ahead and make that motion with that change, and looking for a second on that. No second,
That would, so that would include apartment buildings.
that would
Okay.
not include apartment buildings.
Right, they would take apartment buildings off.
Correct. Any more questions? All right, looking for a second. No second, motion fails. All right. Anybody else have a motion? This is for the second reading of the UDC. David, go ahead.
So I'll make a motion, to approve the second reading of ordinance, 2023-07.
All right, looking for a second on that one? Go ahead, John.
I second that motion.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Nay. All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Mayor Adams,
Nay.
Councilmember Budashevsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Cummings,
Aye.
Councilmember Eidbel,
Aye.
Councilmember Camish,
Aye.
Councilmember Kaiser,
Aye.
Councilmember Onessa Rosen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Next item is the resolution for approving the purchase of the replacement.
Summary language.
Woo, summary language. Jumped ahead. Thank you, guys. Looking for a motion on summary language. David.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion approving the summary language for publication of ordinance number 2023-07.
All right, thank you. Looking for a second. John, go ahead.
I second that motion.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now, the next one is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Water meters. We have Mark Ray back to discuss water meters.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Get everything situated here. We're gonna go with that. All right, first item up is the replacement of water meter radios. The radios were last replaced in 2009. They've expected 20-year life. The full warranty ended in 2019, and so it's a scaled. Every year, the warranty goes down until it's 0 in 2019. This proposed replacement of water meters will get us initial delivery in 2024. That'll set us up then to ramp up replacements over the next 5 years. We basically need to average 1,500 radios a year over 5 years. That gives us a little bit of margin to get them done by the time the warranty period ends. We are looking to do this in-house so that not only is the cost then spread over 5 years, but we're not spending money on contractors like it's all kind of bricks and mortar, right? Is we are spending the money to get the job done. It's important to note the system is proprietary. There's only one authorized vendor in Minnesota for the census products. That's Core and Maine. So this initial purchase is 2,000 radios. It's 1,000 of the 2 different types. The total cost is $325,000. So with that, just a motion authorizing the purchase of replacement water meter radios.
All right, questions? Go ahead, Forrest.
So we're looking at, obviously prices tend to go up, about $325,000 a year for the next 5 years.
That's correct. And so what we've done is, I think it's actually like 6 years worth of planning to allow us the flexibility for budget was kind of how we did this, because we actually set this number a few years ago.
Okay.
So that was kind of the method to the madness there.
One other question, there's no volume pricing, so if, let's say we bought more, it'd be less?
We've already hit that threshold.
All right.
We did ask.
All right, sounds good. Those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Did we install in phases, or did we do that all in 1 year?
Back in 2009.
Yeah.
I actually think it might have been contracted out back in 2009, so it was just
One and done.
go at well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Are we having any issues with these?
Yep, so they're already starting to fail. So
Oh, wow.
a number of them have already been replaced. I believe we've actually done about 1,000 radios over the life, right? So it's a little bit tough, but there's a variety of reasons that they get compromised. Siding is a very tough industry for our radios.
Okay.
But so there's been an attrition already happening.
Okay, John.
Most of these meters are outdoors now, right? So the radios are outdoors as well?
The meters are in the house,
In the
so
house.
they don't freeze. And the radios right now are on the outside. We've done some testing and we're able to mount them inside, which we're hoping reduces the number of service calls from siding projects and other home improvement projects that are, basically what happens is either the radio gets compromised or the wire from the meter to the radio gets compromised is the highest frequency we've seen. So we're hoping to reduce calls for service that we then have to potentially go into a home and coordinate with the homeowner and all that jazz.
All right, any other questions? Yeah.
What's the warranty on these new ones?
It's the same 20, so it's 20-year, 10 scaled 10-year.
So we expect them to last 20 years? That's just
Correct,
kind of
yeah.
standard?
And we expect to lose a few, and it's an operating cost for us.
Okay.
All right. No more questions? Looking for a motion on this item?
I can make that motion.
Go ahead, John.
I make a motion authorizing the purchase of replacement water meter radios.
All right, Forrest?
Second.
Thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Can I ask one last question on that?
Yeah.
So when the radio fails, what happens to the homeowner in terms of their bill? Does it just like,
So what happens is we don't get a signal.
okay,
It gets flagged, and then we go to the home.
and then,
And there's still a number on the meter
Okay.
that we can still read. And there's a whole form they
Okay.
fill out with, here's the current reading, and then it gets updated. One thing I should note is, the city does offer, if residents want to go, you can find out online, you can log in and get a portal to access your own water meter information. So if you really want to nerd out, you can go in and see the readings yourself. If you're going to Florida and want to monitor your house, if there's something going horribly wrong, I mean, that's you can set your alerts for things too. If you're running an irrigation system and you want to keep an eye on that, you could set a certain usages there, and that's a free service for residents.
When you say set a certain usage, like you can,
Yeah, you just, whatever you want, like, hey, if we hit this threshold, I want an email alert.
oh, an email, okay, not,
Yep.
I was like, how does the meter turn it off?
No, yeah,
I
no,
was like,
it
these
just
are
says, hey,
best meters in
you got a problem.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, sounds
no.
good.
Shh, don't mention that.
Yeah, don't say that in public, no.
You've exceeded your cell phone minutes for the night.
All right. So you have the next item as well.
Next item is a forestry contract extension. Tree trimming and removal is done both in-house and contracted out, depending on the scope and staff availability, and really that it plays into time of year. So far this year, we've given the contractor over 60 work orders involving over 100 trees on both public and private property. Obviously, emerald ash borer is the big part of that. Our current contract is 2 years, started in January 2022, and ends at the end of this year. It does include a provision for 1-year contract extensions up to 2 years. Our current contractor is Nick's Tree Service, and they offered to honor their pricing, which is actually from January of 2022 through the end of 2024. So they've worked for us as long as I've been here and prior to that, and I think getting 2022 pricing still in 2024 is a good deal. So with that, the item before you is just a motion extending the contract for forestry services.
All right, any questions? Go ahead.
No question.
Tracy?
I was just gonna make a motion.
Go ahead.
I will make a motion to extend the contract for forestry services.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second
Reese?
that.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
All right, I worked really hard on this next one, so I need
Okay,
you all to
good.
pay attention.
Okay.
Bobcat, Toolcat, purchase.
Oh, no.
All right, so moving on. The next item is the Toolcat purchase. The 2024 Fleet Maintenance Fund included $1,000. If I need to go back to the previous slide, let me know. $1,000 or $100,000 for the replacement. Quotes came off the state contract, both from Tri-State Bobcat. First one's a little under $67,000 for the vehicle, and then attachments is a little over $26,000. Total cost is just over $93,000, so it's under budget by $6,761. It's a one-for-one replacement. Our existing, basically a golf cart, is going to be sold at auction and replaced with this tool that'll be used for much more than the current golf cart, which is just shuttling people and stuff. With that, the motion is approving the purchase of a toolcat and attachments.
Right. Forrest?
Is this broom like a snow broom too?
It's multi-use.
Yeah,
So it could be
but-
leaves for sidewalks or rings we've talked about. It's
Okay.
just a huge broom.
Is this toolcat possibly going to be used as a third sidewalk machine or no?
So it would be a last resort because it's wider and it doesn't actually fit on most sidewalks. So if we had to, it'd be a very, very bad day. However, it might be used in parks if there's wider sidewalks there.
Okay,
or
like trails
would be an
or-
application.
Okay, very cool.
Rinks actually is where they're talking about using it for clearing snow off rinks with the blower.
Big fan of the broom.
All right.
I'll leave it at that.
That's funny. Sorry. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Tracy?
I will make a motion approving the purchase of a toolcat and attachment.
Looking for a second? Go ahead, David.
I will second that purchase.
That purchase. Thank
Well
you.
done, well done.
All right, all members in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Which toolcat did we actually approve?
The Meowshin carries? That was a stretch.
That was.
Oh, wow.
So bad.
All
I
right.
hear nothing but compliments from behind me here.
Yeah.
The next item before you is replacement of pickup truck. There was $54,000 in the budget. I do want to note this item actually came before you all early this year off the state contract. However, while the vendor was more than happy to sell us the truck, they were not very open on when they'd actually deliver it. So we canceled that contract, and that's why this is back before you now. Instead of going off the state contract, we've got 2 quotes, one from Roseville and Bloomington. The attachments for it are coming off the state contract for the plow and the liftgate. I do want to know it's over budget. We're hoping prices start to stabilize, and also just flagging the fact we were under budget on the toolcat. So across everything, we're confident we have the funds to handle this, and hopefully this starts to end at some point. But it is a one-for-one replacement. We'll likely keep this existing truck through next summer as a seasonal vehicle and then sell it at auction. With that, the motion before you is to approve the purchase of the replacement pickup truck.
All right, questions on this one? Go ahead, Forrest.
How much was it off state contract?
It was, the cost was like 3,000 difference. I
Okay.
think it was $50,000.
Okay, so it's 3,000 more from the dealer?
Yeah, 3,600-ish is probably a better estimate.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Tajay.
What would happen if we didn't have this vehicle?
So this vehicle is used for, in the winter, it's actually as a plow route. So what would happen is we'd milk the current truck as long as possible. When it went down, we'd have a fewer vehicle for shuttling the staff around and then plowing what the pickup truck has, which is mostly parks and some dead ends in the winter.
So we only have one of these trucks for parks?
Nope, so for our plow plan, we have 2 pickup trucks that have routes in the winter. So this is, what's getting replaced is one of the 2.
Okay.
John?
And then the alleys, right? Is that,
They have some alleys for the pickup trucks, so streets also has some stuff. So
Yeah.
parks ones generally do park trails, and I think
Okay.
cul-de-sacs is where these are, and
all right.
yeah.
All right, Tracy?
Have we looked at, like a 2023? Is it harder to get a 2023 versus a next year's model? And would the pricing be much significantly
You
different?
mean buying like a 2024 model?
No, buying
with-
one that's a 2023.
Oh, a used one?
Or one that might have
Or one
sat on the
that's-
lot for
yeah.
a year.
I know Brad's been working on trying to find a pickup truck to buy that can handle the plow package for about 3 months. So I would assume he looked at a variety of options to get there. Yeah, buying a pickup truck now is not recommended, especially the plow package.
Mark, what was the lead time originally? Did we have an estimate?
Well, they were telling us they were hopefully going to deliver it in 2024. But when we pushed a little bit on that, that was just a comment made and there was no commitment to anything. So these are actually, this one's on the lot. So we'll get it here and get it sent off to get the build out. Probably realistically not getting it till next spring, summer.
All right. Other questions? Seeing none, looking
Wait,
for
I have
one.
one more question. How long do you expect the truck to last with the tow?
So the current one is 13 years old. So we would look for that 13 to
Okay.
15 year horizon.
Thank you.
And this one, it's going to a seasonal vehicle. The other thing is it could go to like a recreational one, which is even more part-time. But it depends on the current status of that one. So
You
it
mean
may,
like not in the winter, it's used?
exactly,
Okay.
correct. So one of our other pickup trucks went to that role and it's in better shape than this current truck. So that's why this one's gonna get sold at auction.
Thank you.
All right. Looking for a motion on this one.
Make a motion approving the purchase of a replacement parks pickup truck.
All right, thank you, John. Tracy?
Second.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Mark. Our Assistant City Manager is here. Her name is Kim Terrace, and she's going to address the council with the labor agreements, and she'll cover that.
Yeah,
Welcome, Kim.
thank you. This was an item that was continued from the last meeting, and I'm here before you to present the 2024-2025 labor agreement and memorandum of understanding with the Local 49, or International Union of Operating Engineers, which are mainly our public works employees. It's a 2-year contract for 2024 and 2025. It's consistent with the general wage increases that were approved with other bargaining units of 3.25% for each year, but in 2024, it does add a 2% market increase. And, there's some language changes, some changes that we compensate for our lead persons that are approved for each division. We're changing from an annual amount to a per hour amount. And then also modifying the uniform and safety allowance provision in the contract. When we will be increasing the amount, but we will also provide $25 per year to go towards the cost of renting a uniform. So that's something different. And then clarify how we're going to work with out of class, or people who work out of class dealing with certain pieces of equipment, as well as their compensation for callback and standby hours. The insurance is the same that has been approved for other bargaining units and non-represented, with a reopener in 2025, and we added the additional Juneteenth holiday to the contract. This is consistent, as I said, with other labor contracts that council has approved, as well as with council direction, and the compensation plan that was approved in 2022. The 2024 adopted preliminary budget does include sufficient funds for this proposed settlement, and we do recommend approval.
All right, questions?
Forrest. So the lead person change to per hour versus per year, what's the based off of labor last year, hours and stuff, what is that total annual cost, do you know?
Well, the lead person used to receive an annual amount, so they used to get,
About $4,300.
$3,000. They used to get $3,000. And then now we're gonna change it to $2.10 per hour.
Yeah, I'm just asking, do you know, based off of last year's hours, what does $2.10 per hour equate to?
It's a yearly assignment, so they get this for, would be $2.10 times 250.
It's for the full 20 hours.
Okay, I was just wondering, do they do a lot of overtime though, or something, is that, no? Okay.
Utilities does.
Okay.
And just, I
So we
just have
don't
one
know
other
exactly.
comment regarding that. The $2.10 per hour is similar to what the police also receive for their
For officer in charge
officer
pay.
in charge.
Okay.
That's how we came up with that amount.
John?
So, the last time we met, you said that you didn't have any signed agreements for them.
Yes, but now we have the signed
You have a
agreements.
signed agreement, but these changes for the contract, they were already in that agreement before they signed it, or did they come
Yeah.
back to you? Okay.
No, all is good.
All right, all is good, all right. So we're just
I
proceeding.
think it was a timing issue,
Okay,
nothing on our end, on the union's group.
okay,
We received it the day after the council meeting.
okay,
So,
all right.
All right, anything else? Looking for a motion. John?
I make a motion to approve the labor agreement and MOU with the IUOE Local 49 Public Works for 2024 through 2025.
All right, David?
I will second that.
All right, thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Thank you. Announcements, the city council will hold a work session on Thursday, November 9th, 6:30 PM in the upper community room at City Hall via Zoom is available. City offices will be closed Friday, November 10th in observation of Veterans Day holiday. The next city council meeting is Tuesday, November 21st at 7 PM at City Hall and via Zoom. City council meetings and work sessions are open to the public. Current and previous are available for viewing and listening on our website, crystalmn.gov. Reminder that Crystal Sparkles is December 2nd or 3rd is when the deadline for signing up for that. What it does is it puts you on a map so people can go to our website and see the maps of people who have lights and decorations. And of course, there is a contest associated with it. Tri-City Santa Parade is going to start in Robbinsdale. It's going to go through Crystal, maneuver through Crystal, and it will finish in New Hope. It starts around 5 o'clock. I forgot the date, the 9th? December 9th. So that will be a lot of public safety vehicles along with the Grinch and Cindy Lou Who. Don't forget Cindy Lou Who.
Santa?
Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, that's the build-up. I mean, geez, I ruined that one. Mrs. Claus and Santa, of course, as well. Winterfest, that's going to be happening again soon, too. December 2nd at the community center. That goes from 10 o'clock till noon at our Crystal Community Center. So those are some items, of announcements. Anybody got anything else? David?
Not an announcement, just an acknowledgement. A member of the Crystal community passed away last month, Luke Gustafson. He volunteered a lot with the Crystal Airport Open House, made it really successful. He was also a Crystal Lions president. He's a member of the Westfall American Legion. He was also a small business owner. I saw him work super hard to make sure the Crystal Open House was successful. And he's gonna be missed by his wife, his family, his parents, and all his friends. So.
The community, yep.
Yep.
All right, thank you for that shout out. Anybody else? All right, looking for a motion, John?
So moved.
All right, looking for a second. Therese?
I'll second that.
All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.